Daniel adjusted his tie nervously as he stood at the altar, waiting for Amina. The murmurs from the guests were hard to ignore. He had heard the criticisms leading up to this day, the whispered doubts from friends, the outright disapproval from some family members, and the social media jabs about how a man like him could settle for a girl like her. Amina had suffered severe burns in a childhood housefire that claimed both her parents. Her scars ran down one side of her face and across her arms, a permanent reminder of the trauma she survived. To Daniel, they weren't flaws, they were symbols of her strength. But to others, they were all they could see. When the chapel doors opened and Amina walked in, wearing an elegant lace gown with her head held high, there was a noticeable hush in the room, not admiration, but discomfort. Daniel smiled the moment he saw her, a soft, proud smile that never faltered. She was beautiful to him, always had been, always would be. But the silence as she walked down the aisle stung more than she let on. There were no joyful tears in the pews, only polite nods and awkward glances. Her fingers trembled slightly as she reached him, but Daniel took her hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. "You're perfect," he whispered. The ceremony passed with minimal applause. His parents barely made eye contact. Guests left early. No bouquet was caught, no dance floor filled, and yet, as the sun set and Daniel and Amina sat alone at their table, sipping champagne and watching the world grow quiet, there was peace. "Did we do the right thing?" she asked, her voice small but honest. Daniel turned to her, his gaze unwavering. "Absolutely, love doesn't ask for permission." That night, they danced alone under the stars. No music, no crowd. Just the rhythm of two hearts that chose each other in a world that couldn't understand. Amina rested her head on his shoulder and exhaled slowly. The world had judged them, but judgment would not define them. Love would. 2 years had passed since that quiet wedding under judgmental eyes, and the world that once questioned Daniel and Amina's love now watched in stunned silence as they thrived. The couple had moved to a modest but beautiful home in a small artistic community by the sea. There, no one looked twice at Amina's scars. Instead, people leaned in to hear her speak, inspired by her courage and radiant spirit. She had started a blog and YouTube channel titled Unfiltered Love, where she shared her healing journey, not just from trauma, but from societal cruelty. Her words reached thousands, and those who once mocked, many were now subscribers, learning from the woman they once dismissed. Daniel continued his work as a software developer, but had become known more as Amina's husband, and he wore that title with pride. He filmed her videos, handled her schedules, and supported every step of her new career. Their bond had only deepened with time, not because life had gotten easier, but because they had chosen every single day to fight for each other. The most poignant moment came on the anniversary of their wedding. Amina hosted a live video called 2 Years of Real Love, where she read aloud the hate comments she received back then, not to relive the pain, but to show how far they'd come. With Daniel sitting beside her, holding her hand as always, she said, "They said no one would ever love a woman like me, but I never needed everyone, I just needed one." Later that evening, they returned to the same location where they had their lonely wedding. Only this time, dozens of people from the community gathered, friends, fans, even some family who had once turned away. All showed up with flowers, music, and laughter, as Daniel and Amina danced again under the stars, this time with applause surrounding them. It wasn't about proving anyone wrong, it was about showing what happens when two people love without apology. Amina whispered to Daniel, "They judged us for marrying, now they celebrate us for staying." He smiled, kissed her hand and replied, "Because love never needed their permission."